found some things that I didn't know about growing potatoes. What's going on today, Maureen? Potatoes. This will be my third or fourth year of planting potatoes, and I use the Ruth Stout Method, and I grow my potatoes only in straw. With the Ruth Stout Method, you don't need to fertilize and you actually don't need to water. The potatoes will be close to the ground where they can let their roots go down, and the straw is just over top. And the great thing is the straw keeps that moisture in. So there was one year that I didn't use any water on my potatoes, and yes, we still got some. Over the last couple of years, I don't find that my potatoes get very big, and so I started to do a little bit of investigation, and I found some things that I didn't know about growing potatoes. These are the ones that I have from last year, and they are all good and eyed up. These also are from last year, but you know, I'm probably only going to use the big one because small potatoes make small potatoes, and those aren't any small potatoes. This is not a very big potato either, and you know, growing up, you know, my mom, she would cut them, and sometimes you can just put it in whole. But one of the things I learned is that with having a chit here and a chit here, along with there's 3 more, having all of those, they're going to take nutrients, and yes, you're going to get 3 plants, but they're not going to be big, strong, healthy plants. So they recommend cutting those off when you are planting your potatoes. Now here's another thing that I learned is that you should actually cure your potatoes after you have cut them, because the flesh will still be raw, is susceptible to bacteria. So you should actually cut your potatoes and then let them sit for about a week so that they can kind of make a skin layer over top before you put it into ground. Who knew? Apparently not me. These are just yellow flesh small potatoes, and these all came from a grocery store, and we just didn't get around to eating them, so I'm gonna plant them up. I also bought this bag of Yukon Gold seed potatoes. These are looking very, very nice. I have all my potatoes on this oven tray. So this one has no extra chits, but this first one, as I showed you, what you want to do is you don't want to just even pick the chit off. You actually want to cut it right out so that there is no rooting that will take place. And then we are going to cut this in half. Or actually, I can leave this one whole and just remove one of the chits off. So then we've got a potato ready to go into ground. Here we have one that has 3 and a possible beginning of a little chit. So I could cut this into 3 and have 3 separate plants, or I could just give it 1 cut, so I have one on its own and 2 here. Things are looking good. I think it's time to plant up the potatoes. Today the potatoes are going to go in. I'm thinking also that I want to add more straw to this bed. I had put quite a big thick layer of straw, but it seems that I'm going to say no. I don't have a big thick layer of straw on here anymore, so I think it's a good idea that I do add in more. So I have this one here that has been sitting out, so it's already starting to break down, so I'm going to cover that. But then I also have this newer one that I will be also topping it. So the straw that's on this side of the garden bed, it's pretty thick, so I'm just going to go ahead and start planting the potatoes. Now the Ruth Stout method is the fact that we are growing it in the straw. As I said before, of course, the potatoes are going to root in the soil that's down below, but the straw is what's going to keep the cover, keep the moisture. Also breaking down, it's going to continue to feed our potatoes so that we don't have to add fertilizer or even water them. In this far corner, I had actually left potatoes in the fall when I built this bed up. I might try to look around and see if they're even still there. So the Ruth Stout method really is no dig gardening. So basically, I'm going to move the straw over, put my potato down, cover it back up. But we are going to be putting more. We want to have a good 6 inches of straw here. So I am just going to plunk them out of where I want my potato plants, and then we're going to cover them up. before I do this last little bit here, I thought, let's go check and see if there is any potatoes that I left from last year. Where are you, little potatoes? As far as my old mama brain remembers, I planted them in between these two stakes, so we'll see if there is anything. Oh, there's one. Yay! And I found another one. So there's two. There could be more, but at least I know there is two that are growing. I also took some leaves that had collected around the yard and I've put them over the garden. Adding more dry ingredients on top of the bed will just, again, help to keep that moisture in and continue to break down. So lastly, we're just gonna take this bale and throw it on top. I'll probably need to put a second one on top a little later on as well. So the potatoes are in. And it really doesn't take long to do this no-dig potato planting. It was a little longer for me this year because I needed more straw. And throughout the summer, as the potatoes come up, I will be adding more straw and other green waste just to keep building it up. So when I was planting the potatoes, the soil was just teeming with life because I had put down that composted manure soil back in the fall. So the ground is just rich with nutrients and life, so I'm super excited. So this will be our first planting. I do a second planting in this bed once I start harvesting out. In the long garlic bed, after I've harvested in July, I will plant another set of potatoes that will dig up more like October, November, somewhere in there, depending on the rains. And no, they're not big potatoes, but it is a second harvest of potatoes that just keeps us in our potatoes. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care. God bless.